Meanwhile, critics are mocking Joe Biden's claim that his Build Back Better agenda costs $0. Here to discuss is House Oversight Committee ranking member, Kentucky Congressman James Comer. Good to see you this morning, Congressman. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on again.
Of course. Okay, so can you try and explain for those of us who don't quite understand how this is going to cost $0, how this won't affect majority of Americans, including the middle class, and how if you tax corporations higher, that ultimately is not going to fall onto the consumer?
It's going to cost a lot of money, and unfortunately, so many Democrats in Congress don't even think about where this money comes from. It comes from two sources. Third source is higher taxes, and it's going to be higher taxes on everyone. The second source is the government's borrowing more money from China. We're printing money, borrowing money, however you want to put it. Either way, it's a big tax increase. Just for those of us who work, it's a tax increase. And even if you don't work, like so many of the Democrats in their base now, this is going to lead to higher inflation, and inflation is a tax on everyone. So this is the most expensive bill in the history of the American Congress. It's a bad bill, and no American should support this.
We're already seeing inflation.
Oh, you betcha. Here are some of the hidden gems. $3 billion for tree planting and tree equity. I was telling Jillian I planted some trees this weekend. Didn't come close to $3 billion.
I was going to say, not the same thing.
$4 billion for additional distance learning for schools. I thought we were trying to get kids back in the classroom. $12 billion to fund electric cars for federal government's fleet, and $15 million for resource centers for older people with sexual and gender identity issues. How far can moderate Democrats vote for this and think they have any chance in their swing districts come next year?
I don't think the moderates can vote for this. I mean, they're realizing that Pelosi's trying to shift gears. Now she's trying to go back on her word to the progressives and say we need to vote for the infrastructure bill first, and then we'll get to the crazy budget reconciliation bill later. The fact of the matter is the American people have had enough time to digest this bill. This bill is a massive tax increase. It's going to lead to massive inflation. It funds programs like the gender equity for senior citizens that aren't even worth talking about. They're so ridiculous. Tree equity, so electrifying the federal fleet. This is unnecessary spending at a time when the federal government needs to tighten its belt. The government spending needs to get under control. That should be one of the highest priorities in Congress, and this bill does just the opposite of that.
And real quick before we move on to the next topic, Nancy Pelosi, though, seems rather confident. Do you think there's any chance that this does get through?
Well, I've underestimated Pelosi before, unfortunately, but I can't imagine any moderate Democrat in a suburban district that could go either way in the midterms next year voting for this. This is a bad bill, and the more the American people learn about this bill, the more they're going to dislike it.
Meantime, let's get to Hunter. You are demanding ethics rules by tomorrow from the gallery hosting Hunter Biden's art show. Here's what you're asking for from George Berge Gallery. I think I said that right. Communications with Hunter Biden and the White House, price-setting documents surrounding Hunter Biden's art, who purchased Hunter Biden's art, who attended the opening of Hunter Biden's art shows. Is this whole art scheme, though, trending in a direction where Hunter is actually going to get away with this? Because, gosh, Congressman, it sure feels that way.
We're not going to let him get away with this. The Republicans on the House Oversight Committee are laser focused on this issue. This isn't a political issue. This is a national security threat. If you look at Hunter Biden's past, look at his emails that have been verified from his laptop and other sources in the last few weeks. Hunter Biden has a history of trying to sell influence to foreign nationals, influence to his family name. And if you look at what's going on in the art world now, unfortunately, the art world has become a place for massive money laundering. This is a way for people in China to funnel money to shady American interests. This has been going on for several years now. And it just so happens that Hunter Biden started painting in the meantime, and he's selling artwork. Well, what we've asked for from the gallery is what are your policies in place to ensure that there's no money laundering taking place? We've asked the White House to disclose to us privately who the buyers of this artwork are. They won't do that, which makes me think there's something fishy going on here, because the Biden administration could put this story to rest right now by simply saying this is who's buying the art. They won't do that because, in my opinion, this is a shady deal on a character that has a shady past, and that's Hunter Biden.